believe you also mentioned in the Kickstarter campaign that, you know, for centuries society has viewed silence as something to be observed during a period of mourning.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that certain cultures are more prone to silence and certain cultures are embrace noise more?
It's a good question. I'm still so early in my research and development that I don't know if I can answer that fully. I think Asian cultures definitely seem more prone to silence and more what's the word I'm looking for? They integrate silence more into their lifestyles and into their culture and their religion. You know, the Western world definitely seems to be noisier. But yeah, unfortunately that's all I can say right now, just because I'm still trying to figure all this out and research all this stuff. Yeah.
What do you think your research will consist of?
My research will consist of a lot of reading, for sure. Just in the last few years, there's been over a dozen books written on this very subject, actually, silence and noise, mostly noise. Yet no documentary film has been made, which is kind of part of the reason why I'm choosing to do this, because it's like the time is right for something like this. So yeah, there's a ton of reading that I need to do, a ton of web research, obviously. There's a lot of studies that have been conducted by organizations like the World Health Organization and National Institutes of Health. Very difficult stuff to get through, but yeah, there's a lot of reading that I need to do as far as that's concerned as well. And then there's like the research and sort of developing the aesthetic of the film and kind of the tone of the film, and so that just is going to require me immersing myself with in the work of other artists that I really appreciate and that I kind of want to mimic, like Nathaniel Dorsky, who's a celebrated like avant-garde filmmaker. The photography of Ansel Adams, and there's a bunch of photographers I'm looking at right now. So just kind of immersing myself in that, and then, you know, going out and shooting stuff too, and workshopping ideas.
Do you envision that all of the shots will be local, or?
As far in the final film, you mean, or the workshopping stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I imagine this film to be international for sure. Which means bigger budget, unfortunately. But yeah, it kind of has to be. This is a global topic. It's a global issue. And yeah, I don't see any way around having to travel all over the place. I'm looking at possibly, you know, 8 to 10 cities throughout the United States, Asia, and Europe at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, and that I'm still researching too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Do you envision how long the pre-production process will be? And then actual shooting and then post? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, the pre-production phase, because I'm so in it now and kind of doing a lot of the development work already, we kind of have a good head start on all the pre-production work. But yeah, I think I need about 3-4 months to do proper pre-production and plan the production phase properly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you envision maybe it'll take a couple years to have it totally finished?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm picturing about 2 years for this film. Yeah, which is pretty good considering how long documentaries can sometimes take. Yeah.
And when did you have, and forgive me if you've already said this, but when did you have the first idea about this? Was this when you were still doing La Source, or when did it kind of strike you? Because you know there'll be that like idea like, this is interesting, and then you kind of let it ruminate and you think about it. Do you remember
when did it happen? Yeah, so I saw the movie Integrate Silence back in 2006, but I still hadn't come up with an idea to do a documentary about it. I was more just kind of personally interested in silence. And then I read an article about John Cage, and then got really excited about silence again. This was like years later after watching Integrate Silence. And then I started spending some time with Nathaniel Dorsky, this experimental filmmaker, who we actually hired to consult on La Source during the post-production phase. On the side, he does like editing consulting, and he's done editing consulting for POV and a bunch of major documentaries. And so I had the honor and privilege to work with him and just kind of get to know him and pick his brain. And then I started seeing his work, and turned out he was this famous, like, you know, experimental filmmaker. And I just loved this idea of like of making a film that's of something, you know, rather than about something. And I think that's when it all came full circle. It was like Integrate Silence, John Cage, and then Nathaniel Dorsky. This is how I could actually execute this film, and it was kind of a no-brainer at that point. Yeah. So to answer your question more directly, it was probably within the last year or so that I came upon it.
Okay.
Yeah.